Well, it's the air compressor running in the background. I got some of these. I need to get more clamps, and I decided instead of getting these kind of clamps, which they're okay, especially this one because it's pretty wide, you know. But they're different qualities. These are made in China, but instead of having all these lines in here where like the screw is going into this to turn it and make it tighter, there's more adjustability on these kind of clamps. But as you tighten them down, you get them kind of tight, the rubber starts squeezing through these. These are better types of clamps, but they're not as adjustable, but they still grab all the way around really good. They're fuel injection style. Like, I wouldn't trust them for fuel injection anyway, but it's fuel injection style. But it's a solid piece all the way around. And I think, well, I already know that this screw over here is stronger mechanism than this, because if this piece bows out like that, then the screw doesn't grip well. Sometimes you got to put the vice grips on there to get it going. You notice also it's not as smooth in here too, where this piece is underneath there, whereas when you're looking at one of these, it's a lot smoother. See how that is? So I got a bunch of these. They're not. The disadvantage to them though is that you got different sizes. In other words, this is 12 to 14 millimeter. Now 14 millimeter being 9/16 of an inch, right? 11 to 13 millimeter. 11 millimeter being 7/16 of an inch. And then they overlap though. I mean, you got 9 to 11, 10 to 12. So that goes up to 7/16 of an inch when it says 11 millimeter. This goes from 7/16 of an inch to 13. But they're less adjustable than these. So you got to have more sizes. But I figured to get these because they grip more positively. This little bolt is, it's stronger holding mechanism. You don't have this screw going across here. This particular one is actually a good clamp because it's wide, but normally they're a lot thinner than this. I mean, they're probably up to there, So, but these are a good idea to get. I know they're still made in China, but what are you gonna do, man? Everything's freaking made in China, right? But I want to keep these on hand just in case I need them, because I needed some clamps for that thing over there. When I put adapted a inline fuel line from like a 3/8 to a 1/4 inch, using different sizes. The inlet side on the fuel filter was 3/8, and the outlet side was 1/4 inch. And I was like, I'm about out of clamps, man. So I was like, let me get some of these. This is pretty, and I got the larger ones, so I got a bunch of larger ones of this style. So, but usually these are more critical because now you don't use this for fuel injection because these are, mini fuel injection style hose clamps. These are not made for high pressure lines or something, but they're more secure for like regular fuel lines that use 7 to 10 pounds of pressure in the line. And actually that one is regulated down to about 3.5 pounds, 3 pounds. And this one, this El Camino, it's got a regulator. There's my little cat down there. Feather, I think, is regulated down to 5 pounds. So, I mean, these are plenty strong enough for that type of fuel pressure. But since fuel, is a critical area, you don't want leaks. And actually what happened with that thing was I put a 1/4 inch line and I jammed it on a 3/8 fitting. So it lasted for a couple years, but eventually the hose split. The rubber hoses actually last a pretty long time if you freaking do them right and you use the right clamps. And usually if you have a failure point, the failure point is right at the clamp. And with these type of clamps, you're going to have less problems with the hose getting all chopped up. But this one isn't that bad because the width is really large, so you don't have to tighten it down as much. but because it's got a larger surface area to grab the hose. But this clamp also does not get really down at like something like this size. And these are also good for, sometimes you got vacuum hoses, or like on your evaporator return canister. I know a lot of times they're just pushed on the return canister, or maybe you got a vacuum hose coming off the carburetor. You know, for extra security, you might want to put one of these on there. So normally, so this was 7 to 9 millimeters. That's like a 1/4 inch. Normally you'll have a 1/8 inch ID hose, or maybe a 3/16 ID hose, and the outside is, you know, outside diameter is about a 1/4 inch. This would work just fine with that. So these will work, you know, good, you know, if you want extra security on your vacuum hoses too. And these will last a lot longer. They're a lot more reusable. You know, the higher quality ones of this usually last pretty long, but what happens is this mechanism right here, like in here, that's where you know, sometimes these start screwing, these things might screw out, or they screw this way too far, they get jammed up. I mean, after a while, you know, they're reusable up to a point. These are a lot more reusable because, you know, as long as they're not getting rusty, and they're not going to get rusty under the hood of your car, spray a little freaking oil on them or something like that. You actually got like a, you know, a bolt going through a nut here. You know, that's what that is. That's a captive nut. And you know, the only disadvantage, like I said, they don't adjust as much as these. But you got to have more sizes. But they're not much money. I forget what I paid for this. But it's a much more secure way to, you know, for your fuel lines. And again, this is not for real fuel injection. This is, remember the word style. This is for like carburetor cars and stuff like that, and other hoses. I mean, in a pinch, an emergency, you could probably get away with using something like this, maybe. But that would be for an extreme emergency, you know, because fuel injection's under a hell of a lot more pressure than regular carburetor cars. Anyway, over and out. Just figured I'd throw this out here because most people don't get these type of clamps, and they're cheap. They're cheap. You know, if you buy the ones that look like, you know, the AN fittings are best. Yes, I agree. You know, also they got ones that look like AN fittings and they're not. They might have a cover on them that they're really like this stuff on the inside. But these, for the money, are very good clamps. Like I said, the only problem is you got to have a lot of different sizes because they don't adjust as much. But for the money, they're great.